Welcome, everyone. And we're going to do the meditation as we normally do on Saturdays. And as always, I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about the idea of meditation practice. I'm going to follow up on the theme of yesterday's talk, the idea of the Buddha, and how we can kind of make the Buddha part of our meditation practice. One of the kind of important things on the Buddhist path is to give rise to joy in meditation. There is no real meditation without joy and happiness and all of these kind of things. Of course, it starts out before that, but that is really where we want to go to at some point. And very often we need contemplations, ways of thinking about things to enable that joy and happiness to arise. And one of the classic ways that the Buddha talks about is what he calls the Buddhanusati, the contemplation or the recollection of the Buddha. And this really has to do with a sense of understanding what the Buddha really is about, understanding the Buddha as one's teacher, having a sense of gratitude to the Buddha for having the compassion to the whole world to actually support us in our practice. And all of these things, once you kind of get into the idea of the Buddha being someone you can actually relate to as a human being and you can take as a teacher, someone who purely acts out of compassion, out of a sense of giving us this path, then you can start to relate to the Buddha as a human being. And one of the things I was saying, one of the ways that I have always liked to think about the Buddha is as the Buddha, to remember that when the Buddha taught his teachings 2,500 years ago, he was not just teaching the audience that was right there in front of him. He was teaching everyone, all future generations, people from different cultural backgrounds, and he was giving the teachings in a language which is universal, because it has to do with the human mind in general, not with specifics of culture, specifics of time and place. And once you kind of get that idea that the Buddha actually taught everyone, not just the audience in front of him, that actually makes every one of us, me, you, everyone here, a disciple of the Buddha whenever we listen to his teachings. And that's kind of incredible, because it means that the Buddha had compassion for each one of us. People he was never going to meet, people he would never have anything to do with, he still had compassion for future generations, as he actually says in the suttas in a number of places. And that kind of opens up the mind in a new way to what the Buddha is all about, that he actually is your teacher in a very profound and beautiful sense. And then you start to remember the Buddha, also the qualities of the Buddha. Well, if he is your teacher, what are his qualities? And one way of thinking about the qualities of the Buddha is to think about maybe someone in the present world that you respect a lot, someone you might bow down to and you might feel happy to do so because you feel that the qualities there are so powerful. And I know what it is like with me. Sometimes I may bow down to someone I respect a lot, and it feels beautiful. It feels beautiful because what you're bowing down to are the qualities of the person. You're not bowing down to a self. You're not bowing down to an ego. What you're bowing down to is this kindness and compassion this person has for you, and how they have treated you in a very beautiful way, imparting some wisdom, imparting some understanding of what the Buddhist path is all about. And you're kind of bowing down with a sense of gratitude to this person. And I know a few people in this world who I would bow down to in that way. And then you remember the Buddha is even more of that. He's even more of that kindness, even more of these beautiful qualities. He is the one who is the originator of all of these things. Any teacher that you have in the present day, whether it is Ajahn Brahmali or it is some other person in this world, they are practicing or teaching the way they're doing because of the Buddha. The Buddha is the root of all of these things. So when you start to kind of get this, and you get a feeling for who this Buddha actually is, in terms of the kindness, the compassion for the world, in terms of the wisdom, in terms of being the most kind of inspiring and amazing spiritual teacher in human history, who has this astonishing care for all humanity. And you can even visualize the Buddha if you like. I like sometimes to do that. Visualize the Buddha sitting at the root of the tree, and then going up to the Buddha and being in the presence of the Buddha, being in the presence of someone who really is awe-inspiring in an amazing way. And imagine yourself just bowing down to the Buddha and what that feels like. And if it feels in the right way, it will, sometimes at least, it may give rise to a sense of joy, happiness and gladness in the mind as you understand that you are really in the presence of something really exceptional, in the presence of someone who gives you everything you can ever expect to find in this life, in terms of happiness, in terms of joy, in terms of overcoming the problems and suffering of life, in terms of actually finding the meaning of life itself. That is ultimately what the Buddha's teaching is about. So if you're able to make this part of your practice, you will have access to a source of joy that is almost always potentially there. Just imagine yourself bowing down to the Buddha and see what that does to you. And if you're able to access that, then you will be able to access something that really can help the path of practice and the meditation really take off, because this is one of the fundamental requirements for meditation to become powerful. So let's try to do some meditation together here. Okay, so as always, let's start off just by relaxing and finding the ease of the body, and then gradually also allowing the ease of the mind just to arise just by relaxing and just by enjoying just being here, sitting down, not having anything to do in the whole world. and just allow that world to drop away gradually, just by being patient and not really doing anything at all, except appreciating what you're doing right here. Just the joy of being able to sit down and having nothing to do with all this good company around you. What a wonderful blessing that is. And the more you delight in what you have, the more you're able to let go of all the other stuff. So give yourself time, be patient, and allow things just to fade away. And sometimes in your meditation you may find that you need some more energy and joy, something to lift up the mind, make it more bright. And if that is what you require, you can try to use the reflection of a spiritual teacher like the Buddha, and use this in a way to give you some extra uplift, some extra brightness in the mind. And make it very simple. Imagine that this teacher has given you these beautiful teachings over a long period of time, teachings that are profound, meaningful, teachings that help you to solve all the dilemmas of life and move in the right direction. And there comes a point, because of the marvels of this teacher, all you want to do is to bow down in gratitude and thank them for this marvelous jewel that you have received directly from this teacher, be it the Buddha or anyone else. So imagine yourself doing this and see if you can bring some inspiration to the mind by this very simple act of homage to the most beautiful thing in the world. Okay, so again, coming close to the end of the meditation, and please just take a minute or two just to review your meditation here today. And if you do feel any better than when you started out, more mindful, more relaxed, more at ease, more joyful, whatever it is, ask yourself why that is the case. Okay, everyone, so that's the meditation for today. Are there any questions from anyone? This is your chance and opportunity to ask questions if you like. All right. Okay. No questions from outside, Ben? Couple? Okay, I'll just wait for you to get ready over there. Great. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Okay, so a couple of questions from outside of the center, from Melly Ka. The entire path from beginning to end can be found within this fathom-long body, which is a quote from the suttas. Dear Ajahn, why the body is referred to in a path where the focus is on the mind? What's the link between mind and body? Thank you very much. This is from Paris in France. Okay, cool. So welcome from Paris in France. So the idea here is that it talks not just about the body, it talks about the fathom-long body with its consciousness. So the idea is the body and the mind are basically the same extent. They have the same limits. So when we talk about the limits of the body, we really also mean the limits of the mind, because you can feel the body. It means that the mind is present in that same area, the same volume as the body. So when we talk about the beginning here, the path can be found in this thing, it means that the path is really just the development of the mind. And as the mind develops, the path is being developed. So the experience of the development of the path really is within us. And we see the samadhi coming together, we see all the factors of the path coming together. The wisdom itself happens within this same area. So that is why it is the fathom-long body with its consciousness, which actually is the path, or where the path can be found. So I hope that makes sense. Next question. When I meditate, my mind will keep telling me I should do this or that, like I should focus on the breath, I should let it go, etc. I find it annoying. What should I do? Okay. Your mind is getting annoyed by your mind. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? That's how complicated the mind is. And so what you should do, just don't worry too much about it. Just allow your mind to say these little things to you. It is just a controlling thing in you. You're being too controlling, basically, and you just have to allow this to kind of gradually fade away. So don't get annoyed by it. It is just your conditioning. It is the mind, the way it has come to be. And if you get annoyed with it, very likely what will happen is that the mind will do more of that, because there's something within you which wants to sabotage your practice a little bit. And this is just how we are sometimes. We kind of become self-sabotaging. So have metta for yourself, have kindness for yourself. And as you have kindness, because you know that your own conditioning is difficult, then these things will kind of gradually fade away and you will be good instead. So I think that is my advice to you. From Sachinta Herat, when I meditate, I seem to be able to focus on the breath, but I have no joy. Any advice on how to create joy? From Shobi in the UK. Again, this is what the meditation today was all about, is to learn how to appreciate the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, to understand this incredible jewel, this amazing thing that we have been given by the Buddha, by the history of these teachings. It's just something exceptional. And the reason why we don't find joy in it, because we don't fully understand what we actually have received. It is this extraordinary thing. So try to reflect on these things in a similar ways that I was talking about today. See if you can make that connection with the Buddha and the Dhamma. It is really the same thing, because if you understand the Buddha, you understand the Dhamma. If you understand the Dhamma, you understand the Buddha. These are two sides of the same coin. And as you do that, you should be possible to find joy when something is so inspiring as this. Sometimes it can be useful to meet some people in this world who are exceptional, someone who really inspires you. Just that meeting with someone who is very inspiring can be very powerful and can give rise to joy, because you start to understand that you are in the presence of something very very delightful. And just having that gratitude towards the Dhamma and the Buddha is really one way of doing this. So the Buddha gives these standard ways of giving rise to joy. Another one is just to reflect on something you have done in your life that is really nice, some generosity that you have done, and just living really well. This is why living well is so important on the path, because it is almost automatic that you will feel happy about your life if you live really, really well. So focus on this idea of moment to moment living well, living with kindness, living with compassion for other people, understanding others. And as you do that, you will start to appreciate yourself, because you know that you're living to the very best of your ability here. So see if that works for you. Last one is from Catherine Hayes. Ajahn Brahmali, I just loved your talk last night and today on looking to the Buddha as our teacher for inspiration. I will do this with life's problems as well. Okay, that's a wonderful ending to the whole thing. So thank you for that beautiful comment. That is much appreciated. Okay, everyone, that is all for now. So let's just pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha.